The silence between us. The wind moved softly through the rows of white stones, carrying with it a quiet that felt heavier than words. She knelt beside the grave, her fingers trembling as they brushed against the cold marble. The name carved into it was one she had traced 100 times before, yet it never felt more real. A single white flower rested in her hand. She stared at it for a moment, as if gathering the courage to let go, before placing it gently on the grave. Her breath hitched, but no tears came this time. She had cried them all already, or so she thought. Memories flooded her mind like waves she could not stop. There was laughter once, warm evenings, whispered promises, and a future that had seemed so certain. She remembered the way his voice used to soften when he said her name, how his hand would always find hers, even in a crowded room. Back then, life felt simple. Safe. But life had a way of breaking even the strongest things. She lowered her head, her scarf slipping slightly as the wind picked up. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I should have stayed, I should have listened." The guilt had lived inside her for so long that it felt like a part of her now, an invisible weight she carried everywhere. That night replayed in her mind over and over again. The argument, the harsh words, the silence that followed. If she had known it would be the last time. A faint sound behind her broke the stillness. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. She froze but didn't turn around immediately. Something about the presence felt familiar, yet impossible. Her heart began to race, each beat louder than the last. Finally, she lifted her head and glanced back. A man stood a few steps away, dressed in black, holding a small bouquet of white flowers. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes carried a depth of pain she recognized all too well. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The world seemed to pause between them, suspended in a fragile, unspoken tension. "You still come here," he said quietly. Her breath caught. That voice. It wasn't supposed to be here. Not now. Not after everything. "I could say the same," she replied, her tone guarded but unsteady. He stepped closer, the crunch of gravel beneath his shoes echoing in the silence. "I didn't think you would," he admitted. "After what happened." She turned back to the grave, her hands clasping tightly in her lap. "Some things don't change," she said. "No matter how much we wish they would." He looked at the name on the stone, then at the flower she had placed there. "You always chose white lilies," he murmured. "You said they meant peace." "They do," she replied softly. "At least, they're supposed to." Another silence fell, heavier this time. There were too many things left unsaid between them. Too many wounds that had never healed. "Why are you here?" she finally asked, her voice almost breaking. He hesitated, gripping the bouquet in his hands. "Because I couldn't stay away anymore," he said. "Because pretending it didn't matter, didn't work." She closed her eyes, feeling the sting of tears she had tried so hard to hold back. "And now?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped forward and placed his flowers beside hers. The white petals blended together, indistinguishable, just like the past they both shared, tangled and impossible to separate. "Now," he said slowly, "we have to face what we left behind." Her heart sank at his words. Because deep down, she knew this wasn't just about the grave. It was about them. And whatever truth lay buried alongside the one they had lost, was about to surface. "What we buried." The wind grew colder, as if the air itself had shifted with his words. She didn't move. Her eyes remained fixed on the grave, but her thoughts were no longer there. They had drifted back, into moments she had tried so hard to forget. Moments where everything had started to fall apart. "Face what?" she asked quietly, though she already knew the answer. He exhaled slowly, as if carrying the weight of years in a single breath. "The truth," he said. "About that night." Her fingers tightened around the edge of the marble. "No," she said quickly, shaking her head. "There's nothing left to talk about." "That's where you're wrong." His voice was calm, but firm. It made her chest tighten. She had heard that tone before, the same one he used when he refused to let something go. "I tried to tell you," he continued, stepping closer. "But you wouldn't listen. You walked away before I could explain." She stood up suddenly, turning to face him, her eyes filled with emotion she could no longer hide. "Explain what?" she demanded. "That you weren't there when it mattered. That everything fell apart and you just disappeared." Her voice echoed faintly through the quiet cemetery. A few birds fluttered away from a nearby tree. I didn't disappear, he replied, his expression tightening. I was trying to fix things. Fix things, she repeated, her voice trembling. You think anything could have fixed what happened that night? Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. He looked away for a moment, his jaw clenched. You think I don't live with that every day? He said quietly. You think I don't replay it over and over again, wishing I had done something differently? Her anger faltered, but only for a second. Then why didn't you come back? She asked, softer now, but no less painful. Why didn't you come to me after? He met her eyes again, and this time, there was no hesitation. Only truth. Because you blamed me. The words landed harder than anything else. She froze. I saw it in your eyes, he continued. That day, here. You didn't have to say it. I knew you thought it was my fault. Tears finally slipped down her cheeks, silent and unstoppable. I lost someone too, he said, his voice breaking slightly. But I lost you at the same time. Her breathing became uneven. For so long, she had carried the belief that he didn't care, that he had chosen to walk away. But now, standing in front of him, hearing the pain in his voice, it didn't match the story she had told herself. Then tell me, she whispered. Tell me what really happened. He hesitated again, but this time it wasn't out of fear. It was because he knew that once the truth was spoken, everything would change. That night, he began slowly, I got a call. It was about him. He was in trouble. Her heart skipped. I tried to reach you, he continued. I called, I texted, but you didn't answer. Her mind raced. She remembered her phone, left behind in anger, silenced by pride. I went to find him, he said. I thought I could bring him back before anything went wrong. And, she asked, her voice barely holding together. His eyes darkened with the memory. I was too late. The world seemed to stop. But that's not the part you don't know, he added. A chill ran through her. What do you mean? She asked. He took a step closer, lowering his voice. He wasn't alone that night. Her breath caught. There was someone else there, he said. Someone who shouldn't have been. The wind howled softly through the cemetery, as if reacting to the truth finally being uncovered. Her heart pounded in her chest. Who? She whispered. He looked at the grave, then back at her. That's what I came to tell you. And in that moment, she realized. The past they thought was over. Was only just beginning to reveal itself. The name we feared. The silence after his words felt louder than any scream. She stared at him, her mind struggling to catch up with what he had just said. Someone else was there that night. Someone who wasn't supposed to be. Her heartbeat quickened. Who was it? She asked again, her voice more urgent now. He didn't answer immediately. His gaze shifted toward the grave, as if the truth itself was buried beneath the stone. For a moment, it seemed like he might hold it back, but then he exhaled slowly. You remember the messages he was getting? He asked. Her brows furrowed. What messages? He looked surprised. You didn't know. A chill ran through her body. Know what? She whispered. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. For weeks before that night, he was acting strange. Distracted. Nervous. He kept checking his phone, stepping away to take calls. I asked him about it, but he brushed it off. She shook her head. He never told me anything. That's because he was trying to protect you, he said quietly. The words hit her like a sudden gust of wind. Protect me. From what? He hesitated again, but only for a second this time. From someone who had come back into his life, he said. Someone from his past. Her chest tightened. Who? He met her eyes, his expression serious now. His older brother. Her world tilted. No, she breathed. That's not possible. It is, he said firmly. He contacted him after years. No one knew where he had been, what he was doing, but suddenly, he was back. Her thoughts spiraled. She remembered hearing about him once, briefly. A name mentioned in passing, always followed by silence. It had never felt important then. But now, what did he want? She asked. That's the problem, he replied. We don't know for sure. But whatever it wasn't good. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to steady the storm building inside her. And that night, he looked away again, his jaw tightening. I found them together, he said. Arguing. Her breath caught. It wasn't just an argument, he continued. It was intense. Like something had been building for a long time. I tried to step in, to calm things down, but what? She pressed. His eyes filled with something dark. Regret. Guilt. Fear. He pushed him, he said. Her heart stopped. What? She whispered. They were near the edge, he said slowly. You know that old construction site outside the city? That's where I found them. She nodded faintly, her mind already painting the scene. There was shouting, accusations, things I didn't fully understand, he continued. And then suddenly, he lost control. Tears streamed down her face now, but she didn't wipe them away. I tried to grab him, he said, his voice breaking. I swear I did, but everything happened so fast. Her lips trembled. You're saying, it wasn't an accident? He didn't answer directly, but his silence said enough. The truth hit her like a wave, crashing through every belief she had held onto for so long. All this time, she had blamed the wrong person. And the brother? She asked weakly. What happened to him? His expression hardened. He ran. The word echoed in the empty space between them. Ran, she repeated. He disappeared that same night, he said. No one has seen him since. No police report, no trace. It's like he vanished. Her breathing became shallow. So all this time, she whispered, we've been mourning, without knowing the truth. He nodded slowly. I tried to tell the police, he said. But without proof, without witnesses, it was just my word. She looked back at the grave, her vision blurred by tears. The pain she had carried for so long had just changed shape, but it hadn't disappeared. If anything, it had grown heavier. Because now, it wasn't just grief. It was truth. And the truth came with questions. Dangerous ones. What if he comes back? She asked suddenly. The man didn't respond right away. Instead, his eyes scanned the cemetery, as if searching for something, or someone. Then he looked back at her, his voice low and tense. What if he already has? A cold shiver ran down her spine. And for the first time since she arrived, the cemetery no longer felt like a place of rest. It felt like a place where something unfinished was waiting. The truth that set them free. A sudden gust of wind swept through the cemetery, rustling the trees and sending a chill down her spine. His words echoed in her mind, what if he already has? She turned quickly, her eyes scanning the empty pathways between the graves. For a moment, fear wrapped around her heart like a tightening grip. Every shadow seemed deeper, every silence more threatening. Don't do that, she said, her voice trembling. Don't make it worse than it already is. I'm not, he replied quietly. I just don't want you to be unprepared. She looked back at him, searching his face, not for fear, but for truth. And for the first time since they had started talking, she saw something different. Not just pain, not just regret, but honesty. And something else, something that had been missing for a long time. Trust. She took a slow breath, trying to steady herself. If what you're saying is true, then we've been living a lie all this time. He nodded. Yes. And we let it destroy us, she added softly. That truth hurt the most. Years of silence, years of blame, years of distance, all built on something that wasn't even real. She turned back to the grave, her eyes softening as she looked at the name carved into the stone. I blamed you, she admitted. Every single day. I convinced myself that you didn't care, that you chose to walk away. He stepped closer, his voice gentle now. And I thought you hated me. A faint, bittersweet smile touched her lips. I never hated you. Then why didn't you come back? He asked. She hesitated, then answered honestly. Because it was easier to hold on to anger than to face the pain. He understood. Sometimes, anger felt stronger than grief. Safer. But it also kept people apart. Silence fell again, but this time, it wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. She knelt down once more, adjusting the flowers on the grave. Her fingers lingered there for a moment, as if saying a silent goodbye, not just to the person buried beneath, but to the guilt she had carried for so long. I think, she said softly, he wouldn't want this. He looked at her. What do you mean? This distance between us. The blame. The pain, she explained. If anything, he would want the truth to bring us back, not tear us apart. He exhaled slowly, as if releasing something he had held inside for years. You're right, he said. She stood up and faced him fully now. There were still tears in her eyes, but they no longer felt as heavy. We can't change what happened, she said. But we can choose what happens next. And what do you choose? He asked. She looked at him, Not at the past, not at the pain, but at the present. I choose to let go, she said. Not forget, but forgive. The words hung in the air, powerful and freeing. He stepped closer, just enough to close the distance that had once felt impossible to cross. I've been waiting a long time to hear that, he admitted. She gave a small nod. Me too. For a moment, they simply stood there, side by side, no longer divided by silence. The truth had hurt, but it had also healed. As they turned to leave, the wind softened, and the cemetery seemed quieter, calmer, as if it too had found peace. She took one last look at the grave, her heart lighter than it had been in years. Goodbye, she whispered. And this time, it felt like she meant it. Moral of the story. Sometimes, the pain we carry is not caused by the truth, but by the things we never said. Misunderstandings can break even the strongest bonds, but honesty, forgiveness, and courage have the power to heal what once seemed lost forever.